Once you open Premiere Pro up, this is what your workspace is going to look like. Now make sure that you don't get too intimidated by the sheer volume of buttons on the screen, because like any computer program, you of course can use all of these buttons, but they're really not necessary. Remember that this is of course a professional grade program, and because of that, there's always multiple ways to achieve any task. Because this is a beginner course and because we're really just learning the basics of how to edit, for now anyway, I'm only going to show you the tools that you need to use to get the job done. You can easily use just a few of these tools to create a really wonderful piece that looks completely professional. The rest of them are just there to possibly make things a little easier. So don't get intimidated by the sheer volume of what's going on the screen. So to start off with, we have down here in the bottom our timeline. This is where we will place our video clips and our audio clips that we will be working with. As you can see, it comes to default with 3 different video tracks and 3 different audio tracks, as well as a master track. This basically means that you can overlap 3 different audio tracks and 3 different video clips and have them playing all at the same time. You of course are not limited to only 3. You can easily add up to really as many clips as you possibly could ever want to have playing all at the same time. You just have to add more tracks as you go. Also remember that your video is always going to show up on the top, your audio is always going to show up on the bottom. A couple of just very small things on here. Over on the side, we have the little eyeballs. What that's going to do is it's just going to turn off one track so that you don't have to look at it, or it's going to mute a track so you don't have to listen to it at the moment. But those are all things that we can get to with more detail a little bit later. We then have our tool palette. As I said, this is definitely a lot more intimidating right now than it will be as we start going through it. For the most part, the tools that we're going to need the most are of course our arrow. We're going to be using the razor tool a lot, and of course, as you can see, like any good program, if you put your mouse over it, the word pops up and shows you exactly what the name of that tool is. We will be using the select track tool. Really only a few of these are really necessary to make a good product. We have all the way over to the right, this is our audio levels. To the far left of the screen, this is where we are going to be storing all of our clips. So our audio clips, our video clips, our photographs, our titles, everything that is inside of your project is going to be stored over here. And when we start bringing some video clips in to start working with, I'll show you how we can organize them to make things a little bit easier for you. Now, one of the things to also remember about the timeline is that the only stuff that will actually be in your finished project is what's in the timeline itself. Meaning that you can play with a clip as much as you want, and you can edit it, you can do whatever you want to it. But until you put it in the timeline itself, it's not part of your movie. Now that understanding is what's going to explain the use of 2 different viewer windows. The viewer window on the right, which is called the program window, this is going to show you all of the video that is playing and all of the audio that is playing inside of your timeline. Meaning that what's going on down here, you're going to see up in this window. This is as opposed to the left window, which is the source window. This is going to hold the clips that you're working on at the moment. So if you're making a clip longer or shorter, or maybe you're trying to apply some sort of effect to it, you can work on it over here, but it's not part of your final video until you move it into the timeline, and then you'll see it up here. Meaning that sometimes these videos are going to look exactly the same. Most of the time they're going to look completely different. So just keep that in mind. There's of course a lot of other things that we will be going through, as we work through the program. For example, down in your bins, we have the effects tab that's going to have all of your video effects, your audio transitions, things like that. Up in the source window, we have an effects control, which is going to help you control the kind of effects that you're putting on, so on and so forth, but we will get to those as we get to them. So now that we have a kind of base understanding of what the Premiere layout looks like, we can start doing a little bit of editing. And we're going to start slow, so don't worry if you get lost again. If you get confused about anything, you can always stop and ask, or you can go back and you can watch things again.